Yeah.
All right. I see the red dot has appeared in my top left corner. So we're live and on air, soon to be watched by millions around the world, no doubt.
Let's hope so, eh?
But yeah, good morning to you, my man Andrew, and so pleased that we made this happen and have the opportunity to share your story, as I've done with leaders from around the world, around their call to pivot and do something that is meaningful and impactful for them, that
Nice.
serves their families, communities, and the world at large. So thank you so much for saying yes. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. It's great to catch up and hopefully have a good chat.
Yeah, indeed. And have you got yourself a beverage of some sort?
Yeah, the daddy mug's out. We're good to go.
Yes, indeed. And I love how it's on brand in color to your lovely hoodie as well. The Blnker, is it? You've got the
Yeah, we've got the Blnker hoodie on, so
hoodie.
always on brand. Never know
Always
who's
on
watching,
brand.
right?
Great, exactly. So we'll come on to definitely talk a bit more about that. But to
Yeah,
kick
sure.
things off, to situate people that tune into this, I'd love to start with what your role is now. And I know there's titles, but what's your role now, and what do you do? And we can explore a bit more.
Yeah, it's a good question, and it's one I had with one of my co-founders just last week when we were sort of back end of a rebrand and relaunch and position ourselves. And he said, I had MD, and he said, you really should be putting CEO now. And I thought, I'm just the guy that does the jobs that no one else will,
Right.
or no one else wants to, or isn't able to, or whatever those things are. And you kind of go, yeah, but that is the job of the CEO. And so, it's a little bit of imposter syndrome, but leaning into it, and that's where we are now. So, it's a real privilege to have that title, and to carry that imposter syndrome with it. But CEO of this business that we founded quite recently, and been on a bit of a journey to get to this point. But early days, but here we are.
Oh, amazing. And so for anyone that is watching, what does Blnker do first and foremost? So then they can be like, yeah, no, I'm interested, or no, actually next I'm going to move on.
Yeah, absolutely. So I suppose I've been asked this question many times already, right? And you kind of go, actually, what is that one liner? What is that, elevator pitch? And it's really hard to pin it down. But I think in a short sense, it's the reality of understanding that there's a lot of small businesses out there, and there's a lot of businesses that are going to be hiring, be that 1 or 2 people a year, be that 10, 15 people a year, and in one way, shape, or form struggle. And being in the industry for 15 years, I've seen many solutions, many different routes to market. But the reality is that none, in my eyes, do the best job possible for that small business owner, and tackling their niche specific challenges that come with hiring. So what we've done is boiled down to what are the 2 or 3 things that really have the biggest impact for those owners, and let's build something great focus on those small bits, those 2 or 3 things. And that's what Blnker is. That's what we've developed. That's the MVP, and what we've taken to market.
Oh, brilliant. And want to dig a little bit deeper beneath that. You've
Yes,
talked about 2 or 3 things that will really make an impact as it pertains to hiring. But could you give us some of the functionality of Blnker as well? Because you never know, someone might be tuned into this and go, well, that sounds like something I need to get involved in. So
yeah, sure. So I think that there's currently a few challenges, and the market of hiring is a wild place at the moment. The kind of the wild growth through COVID in a lot of space, and then the retraction, and there's great people out there. So founders, and when we talk about founders, it's people that are running a small business that don't have any internal talent resource. So they're reliant on doing a few things. It's either utilizing a recruiting agency to hire, which can be great, but can also be quite expensive and have its challenges. Or they try and do it themselves, muddling through, or they end up bringing some internal resource in and go down that route. So there's some limited options there. The reality is they cost a lot of money. They take a lot of time, and they detract their focus away from what they should be focused on, which is growing their business. So the functionality is very simple. It's how can we tackle the problem that they have, which is either managing a wild amount of applications coming into adverts and running themselves, or trying to outsource something that actually delivers what they need in a cost-effective way. And that's what the functionality do. And it's very simple in terms of what we've built, but we focused on the simplicity, and really driven that forward. So it
Mm.
gives our clients a really great careers page. So they've got that window to great talent. It gives them access to the right premium advertising. And there's lots of cool bits and pieces by the back end working that you don't need to know how they work.
Yeah,
I'm the
sure.
techno firm, and I don't need to know how they work. I leave that
Mm.
to our CTO. But the really important part of feedback I had so far is that every account's managed by an actual talent person. So
Mm.
your account manager understands recruiting and is there to support you on that journey. And that blend between technology and real people experience is what we're finding is the sweet spot for founders who maybe don't have the time to lean right into technology because they've got so many other things they're dealing
Yeah,
with.
yeah.
They just need that helping hand, and we're able to just step in and add the value. And someone kindly put it the other way, and I take it kindly, said, you just do the donkey work and leave us with the CVs to review at the end of the process and hire great people. And yeah, kind of. We just need to find a smarter way of advertising that,
Yeah.
which is what I've been working on.
Brilliant, brilliant. And look, I have seen it in action, and I loved it, from the typography that was used, because I'm an aesthetics man, but I also like substance. And to the substance bit, I definitely see how it does do the things that you said: saves time, saves money, and it simplifies that portal to an organization's brand, nascent or developed, that needs to be there. And I think you've got something very, very special that will allow people to manage responses. I think you showed me the technicality, the technical function around how you can have screening questions, because it is hard. And having been in the talent acquisition space for both, especially now, that there are people that just need a role. They need something to provide for their families if they found themselves displaced through restructuring, and having some questions to filter out people from spending time making an application, etc., is a really candidate centric but also client beneficial thing. So first trick question is, you've come a long way since we first met, actually.
Yeah.
And the trick question is, how many years ago was that? Do you remember roughly?
I was looking the other day because I thought I'd better refresh my career and actually where I was and what I did and what point, because it's been a bit of a winding journey. So I think it was 2011.
Yeah.
2011, I want to say.
I think it was.
Around then.
So 14 years on, so much has happened, and we were together for a short period of time.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Amazing things thereafter, culminating in Blnker now. But what I didn't know then, and still don't know now, so I'm using this opportunity to be nosy, is your formal education really interests me, because there we were working for a recruitment consultancy, doing our thing. I think marketing lead, covering finance. So I'd be curious if you could walk us through the choices that you made in terms of what to study, and maybe leaning in on the tertiary education, like degree onwards.
Yeah, sure. So I think I probably have a really different route through education. I suppose looking back now, and I laugh at all my school reports. It's like, it's done very well, but could do better if they tried harder. And I think now I'm an inherently lazy person, and I mean that in a way that I'm always trying to find a solution which makes life a bit easier.
Sure.
And maybe that's why I've brought things to today, right? And I can see that journey. But when you're growing up, that's kind of, oh, they're lazy, they don't want to work hard. I was never super clever, but I was clever enough to get by and find my way. But I got to 16, started my A levels, did my first kind of mocks after a few months, and did really well. When I was like, I do not want to be sat in a classroom anymore, right? It just wasn't an environment for me. I had too much energy. My brain was going everywhere, and I didn't feel I was doing what I wanted to do. Because at the point, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I just was kind of like going on with life. I had grand dreams of playing rugby, and that type of thing. And so I quit school at 16. Literally walked out of college, walked out of my sixth form after 3 months. Convinced my mum it was a great idea. She kind of eventually went, we've got to find something. So eventually I got onto an MVQ program, which is a vocational program. Literally getting a job as a lifeguard in a local leisure centre, doing a once a month qualification, just because I wanted to get out there and start earning some money. And the one condition my mum was, you've got to actually stay in some form of education. So, okay, fine, tick that box and let's move forward. And that was really meaning for the next few years. And quickly at the age of 16, went through that, become a manager in a leisure centre at the age of 18, done various qualifications on swimming teaching and teaching people how to be lifeguards, and done loads and loads of stuff. And I just found that at every corner and opportunity, I'd just say yes. Like, just have a go, whether that was trying to manage people or, teaching swimming or anything. And I went on this really kind of interesting journey of just having a go, which was great. And I learned so much from that. But I got to a point of, I was kind of back at the other day, it must have been sort of 22 years old. I thought, I don't want to be in this industry forever. I love sport, I love being active, but as a career, I couldn't see the pathway. So I remember starting an early shift at a pool at like 5:30 one morning, and then just filling in a UCAS form going, don't really know what I like, but I'm interested in people and I'm interested in sport, and I just applied to do a psychology degree on the basis that I was a mature student, right, at 22. And before I knew it, I was accepted. And in that September, I was off to university to study psychology with no, again, real plan, but just thinking, I'm ready to learn now. I'm ready to do it. It was the right time. At 16, 18, 19, I wasn't. I wanted to be myself and do all the things you do when you're that age. And then, then I studied psychology for 3 years and absolutely loved that journey of proving to myself I could do it, because, university is a very different environment to school, where you get out of it what you put in, right? And that really suited me, and I still look back and could I have tried harder for uni? Yes, of course. But actually the reality was the experience of going to university and learning a different way of approaching challenges was what worked for me. And then had an amazing time for those 3 years. It was great.
Oh wow, what journey. See, this bit I never knew, so actually I love doing this because I get to be super nosy and find out the multiple layers that we all have, because I see us as like onions, we've got different layers, and what presents at the time when we meet each other, 14 years or so ago to now, there is a journey you've been on to get to the point where I saw you, and there's a journey you've been on since then to now. So I think this could be a whole other conversation about the education system and how it doesn't necessarily produce the best from different types of learning preferences. Because I'm fortunate to go to a grammar school, and I saw boys there who bright as you like, but just didn't get on with that sort of learning by rote, kind of not being able to be curious and what have you. And they spun out the system to do various, jobs, from window cleaning to working in the supermarket to working in bars, but they could have done so many other things if only that connection between their interest and the way they were taught was made earlier. So I love that you went to uni to prove to those around you and yourself what you could do, and then you're your own boss. Again, leadership is strong. If you don't want to wake up for the 14 hours of lectures or whatever you have a week, you don't have to, but I guess when it's up to you, you went to some lectures, I presume.
I made some. It was it was all part of the journey. But I found that the university experience for me was the course was important, and I learned a lot academically. But being in that environment, having opportunities to put yourself forward for different things that I'd never had the opportunity to do, and expose myself, I suppose, made me more of a confident person. I'm still quite shy, and in a lot of circumstances, some people might not think that when they might meet me. But when I went to university, I was a very quiet person, and it really helped develop that, where everyone's you're all there for the same thing, right? There's no differences in that. So that was a really important part in just personal development as much as any academic development.
No, I really enjoy what you've just said there, for the fact that I always bang on about this is like, know your why, and be intentional with what you do, irrespective if it means you swim against the tide. But what you said in terms of choosing the course that was engaging, I guess, is a springboard to other things. And then I'm hearing you picking up other interests that through osmosis or whatever have kind of come in to impact you. And just dwelling on that just a little bit, extracurricular activities and pursuits while at university, what did you get into over when you were there that we could talk about on you on
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's a long time ago. I had dinner with my one of my best friends from university on Sunday night, and we were laughing about some old times. But I suppose the things we can share was sport was a constant. Being involved in rugby, and that's been from when I was 13. But yeah, getting in the rugby team, we weren't a top performing university team, but just having that camaraderie and that opportunity to share experiences with like-minded people resonated, and then was fortunate to captain a team for 2 years, so from second and third year, which was a real honor. Maybe they just looked at me as captain material because I was probably older than everyone else, right? So I think that just naturally puts you in a leadership role, but again, a really great opportunity just to, because it's not just captaining people on the pitch, you're driving the minibus, you're raveling people around to actually turn up to training, and all those things that are real proper skills, right? They're skills that you just have to get on with and do and find a way to get people on board. It was really important. And in my third year, I was lucky enough to go to a campus university, and we had 4 colleges, and was voted in as college president for my college campus in the last year. And again, that just opened me up to a whole new world of sitting on board meetings and, sitting with governors once a month and all these things that you go, I'm just a student at uni, but this is the stuff that I know I'm going to learn from more than maybe sitting in a lecture about neurodiversity or something that, all really cool stuff. But for me, I knew my path wasn't into psychology. It was just into people. So those things and making mistakes through those, I've definitely learned a lot from, which has been great.
That's fantastic. And, I have to say, the word that comes to mind is cute. I think it's cute how you're self-deprecating when you talk about, I'm just a student. I think it's cute when you say that I wasn't at the top university. I think it's cute when you talk about these different things. And I say this because I went to university and tried out for rugby. What was your position?
Second row most of the time.
Yeah, so I was in the back row, flanker. I used to live in the scrum halves, the little lip you're under. I used to love catch them. I captained my school team, first 15, get to university and tried out for the rugby team. And I came across country, corn-fed, Mahusive mountains like yourself. And I decided that drinking was the best sport for me than rugby. And so it's cute when you say just the captain, because I didn't even get to doing the team, because I did the trial and got absolutely run over. And I thought, no, I will cause myself injury. And I just came for the enjoyment. So yeah, credit to you for making this step, but not only to get into the team, but then to lead it. And then all the things that you've said yes to, which no doubt I feel like have played into where you are now in terms of different types of people working in a team, having a common goal. When your back's up against the wall and you're getting a drubbing in Northamptonshire on a wet Wednesday, you still have to show up and try and get something out. Yeah. So let's build on your career highlights, because that honestly stay with you in that period, because that sounds like some really formative years for you. But building on your career highlights, I know from the time we worked together, there was exposure to a variety of sectors. Has that been a theme throughout your career, working with different sectors?
I suppose, when we worked together, it was the marketing side was the key focus, and looking at it now, I generally, when I've been recruiting personally, and now I'm not, but when I have, I've always really enjoyed that. I've really enjoyed marketing, digital, e-commerce, and when I moved to the Southwest, just focusing on digital e-commerce, it was like a whole new world, because this was 2012, 2013, so not where we are today. So I've just really enjoyed that space, because I think, again, it leans back into that people side. Marketing is understanding people and understanding how you can influence people's decisions. I'm not a marketer. I couldn't do the job. I take my hat off to anyone who really can, and I've been fortunate to work alongside some really great marketers and growing people in digital. But I just love that unconscious influence, and how you can really drive people to do what you want them to do without them realizing. Is a lot of what marketing's about, right? And that's been a constant, I suppose. So I've that's always been a core. It's kind of diversified out into sales and business development and there are areas that circle around it.
Mm.
But could I get excited personally about hiring, just hiring finance managers? Nothing against finance managers. It's just not my world, right? And I'm not a numbers person. So I think that's been a real benefit for me, focus on an area that I just enjoy. I enjoy speaking to people in that space.
Yeah.
And being nosy and going, what are you working on? What have you been doing? What campaigns you work on? I just think it's cool.
Yeah.
So that's really important.
That's brilliant. I don't know if you've come across a company called Depop. Have you heard of Depop?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it was a couple of weeks ago. Time flies at the moment, spinning the plates that we'd be spinning. But I got to meet with Peter Semple, who's the CMO, so Chief Marketing Officer for them, more or less since inception, but is now actually interim chief exec. And he said something really beautiful about marketing, which is it is really around connecting people to the vision, for the brand and what it stands for. And he knows what he's talking about. He featured one of the top 50 entrepreneurial CMOs in Forbes magazine, like recently, with like a stellar cast of amazing people. And it is that ability just to do the human thing. You talked about people. It's really like, sure, you've got a service, you've got a product, you may be able to get that service or product elsewhere, but why we choose to buy something or to like something is really to how closely it resonates with us. So again, I love how this sort of thread of like interest in people sort of has flowed through from early careers, lifeguarding, training, people, to your pursuit of the marketing sector from a recruitment perspective, is there. So keep on go ahead.
I think you're saying, like, now you put it that way, it was never consciously intentional, especially when you're starting out from leaving school at 16 and things. You can't ever claim it was, but I think you lean into subconsciously things that just resonate and go, there's a bit of a spark there and there's a bit of interest. I don't really know why, but I'm just going to have a go. And that probably saw me through a lot of my early years and early career, and probably still today I go, that's quite interesting. Let's think about that. So yeah, it's when you start to reflect on it, then you can see these trends coming about and maybe start to put some meaning behind it, for sure.
Yeah, and honestly, this is why I love like the later years of life, like being in my 40s, because I think like you, things just happen and I was in the moment and what have you. And I literally read something this morning that we learn more from reflecting on our experiences than the experiences themselves. Don't know if that resonates.
Yeah.
And
100%.
what I took from that is, I think from 40s onward, and maybe it can happen at different times, but my personal experiences from the 40s onwards, you're hit with two things. One is your mortality. You know that if you're lucky, the same amount of days and years ahead of you as you've got behind you. If you're not, less. And then you've started to make some reflections on stuff. And I find that hopefully it's the same for you, but I sit in this place now where I'm super intentional about certain things. One being my joy is my GPS. So it's the people, the places, and the pursuits that uplift me and make me feel good. I try and be in them for the most part, because why would I want to be anywhere else if I've only got limited time to live, right? And I transfer that to you insofar as the things that you've been interested in. I've seen you share now, from the studies of psychology to being in marketing, what's interested you, you've gone for. And I guess working with clients, I really try to get them to pause and hear that subconscious more vibrantly, so they can be selective about what they choose to do rather than what happens to them that they adjust to. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think you need to have that quiet time, space, lack of noise to just reflect. And it's cliche, but you get your best ideas when you're out on a dog walk or in the shower, and there's reason behind that, because you give your brain a bit of time just to think, or whether that's reflect or pursue ideas when you're not trying too hard sometimes. Because your brain has that space. Your conscious and unconscious can really start to work powerful things in that. So it makes total sense.
Brilliant. And just keep into time, because I know that we could be here for 2 hours. I don't know. People will benefit from it, but let's keep it to track. I wanted to understand what your core was to pivot from corporate citizen, which you did well. I know, I worked with you, to entrepreneur par excellence. And I say par excellence, which I know you might be like, I'm not sure. because I've seen the product, I've seen what it can do, and I think it really does add value. So what was that call to come out of getting the joys of a regular salary to the where we sit, which is, well, it's going to happen, but we don't know how.
Yeah, no, first of all, thank you. It's really kind when you hear people talk positive about something you work so hard on, and a little idea in your brain that just kind of grows. So that really helps to kind of keep the motivation, which is great. And I think no, I took my first step when I moved to the southwest from London in 2012. Set up my first small recruitment company, and I met my now wife in 2012, and she lived in Somerset, and I was in London, and she wasn't going to move to London. So I was like, well, I'm coming to Somerset then. So I did that. And then I started interviewing some recruitment companies in the Southwest. I was like, do I really want to drive an hour each way every day to sit in an office for 9, 10 hours to do something that I know if you do it well, you do it right. Recruitment is just about the relationship, the personal relationship.
Yeah.
So I said, sod it, let's get a laptop and a phone. And this is way before I knew I worked remotely and did the whole work from home thing. And I just set up my previous company in 2012. And that was a really great learning curve of, excuse my French, how the fuck do you run a business? Like, I've done this job and this is what it is, but it's very different. But I realized quickly I loved the variety.
Yeah.
My attention span can be quite short, and I can get a little bit bored doing the same thing day in, day out. And maybe that probably takes things forward from there. But I love the variety, I love the hustle, I love the chase, I love the jeopardy. I loved the fact that for the first 6 months we didn't get paid any money, because if you know anything about the recruitment world, it takes a bit of time to find the first job, to then place the first job, to get the invoice paid. And it's like, this has to work. And then it just started to move forwards, and we took that on a bit of a journey over 7 years, and it was a really great experience on the whole. There was definitely some massive lows in that as well, and I learned a lot and made some huge mistakes. And in the end, it got to the point that I was pretty burnt out with that business and that venture. And I think looking back now, and I've done a lot of reflecting on it, because I think it's important to do that when you do good things, but also things don't go so well. I set that business up because it was a lifestyle choice. And I don't mean lifestyle working 9 till 2 every day, like some people have a lifestyle business, which fair play to them. I'm very jealous. But it facilitated me to be able to move down, set up a family, be in the place I wanted to be, have that family. But it gave me that first taste of running a business. And that was a really cool 7 years. And I really loved that. The highs and the lows now, and the mistakes that you make along that journey. But I think if I hadn't have been through that, I don't think I'd be able to set up this business now.
Isn't that amazing? Like, love will do some amazing things. All I hear in there is you moved for love, and then now you're a CEO. That's my summary of it. But of course, no. In all seriousness, there are so many things in there that are hopefully connecting with people that listen to this, insofar as necessity can be the mother of invention. When you say, actually, I don't want to do what I've always done, this is not going to work for me, let me take a punt. And then you talked about highs and lows, and I think I want to thank you for just being really authentic, because some people go like, I'll run my own business, I play golf, and I won't go cycling, and I won't do all this. It is not that. There are, as you know, there are good moments, and then there are challenging moments to learn from. So I just want to get into the obstacles a little bit, because I think we could sit here and talk about all the highs, but I think when we hit challenges, we grow through what we go through. So what are some of the key obstacles that you've been proud to overcome, and not necessarily from them, but just on the journey to being CEO, co-founder of Blnker?
Yeah, I think now what I'm most proud of is overcoming challenges, whatever those challenges are, and finding a way through it. And I think there's a real value in that. And some of the challenges can just be, how do you deal with HMRC? Anyone that runs a business, it's like, it fries my brain. I'm like, and I'm always the type of person that goes, I want to do it myself. I want to learn it. I want to learn it. I want to learn it. And I'm just like, these sort of things, so that's can be quite trivial, but it can really make or break a business, right? Because you're not focused on growing your company when you're doing these sort of things. to hiring the wrong person who nearly took my business under, and just not seeing it and going, Christ, I work in recruitment and I've hired the wrong person. It's gone this wrong. What on earth have I done wrong here?
Mm.
But looking back now and going, you have to distance yourself with a business owner and someone who's recruiting. You know, it's a very different skill set. Yes, you're still bringing people in, but your focus, your drivers are very different.
Sure.
So looking at that business and starting to get momentum and starting doing well, and then going, wow, this is going to be great, and we're going to do X, Y, and Z, and it's, you know, I'm going to have a retirement plan next 3 years, and stepping away from the why, and it become great. This can be a money making machine, and you know, it's going to set us and myself, my family up for life. But the why was always, I set the business up to facilitate moving down to have the family. And as soon as those two things started to create a gap, that's when that business broke down.
Oh, right.
And that's why I look at now and go, my focus became growth rather than my focus was always, I set the business up so I didn't have to do 15, 20 hours a day, traveling back and forwards and working with someone else. As soon as it got to that scale, I was effectively working for everyone else. And that's not what the business was set up for. So I stepped away from the why because I didn't have that intention, if that makes sense.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
And it created real pain and made my decision making really poor at times, really, really poor. But I beat myself up for quite some time about that. And I think you look back and go, it is what it is. You know, there's some people that, you know, you burnt some bridges along the way, but hopefully now I'm in a much better position to build something properly and do it the right way and understand there's those mistakes. I kind of know I need to avoid that one this time.
Yeah. So amazing and proud, honestly, really, really proud of you for acknowledging those things, but also, you know, sharing, you know, the truth, the real truth, because the truth is really, as far as I'm concerned, we've never been here before on this planet.
No.
This is Andrew Finn, Kofi, our first go at this roller coaster that they call life. And I find oftentimes we do that, you know, we make a mistake or we put a foot wrong, and out comes the negative thinking, out comes the body blows to our confidence, out comes all of this stuff. But like, if you step back and say like, hey, like, this is my first rodeo, actually, I'm supposed to make mistakes because actually you learn more, I think you'll get it. Success is a lousy teacher because it convinces people that they have nothing more to learn, right? So when you make these mistakes, I think what you've done really beautifully is reflected on them to take the lessons to your onward journey. Yeah, sure, you're going to make some other ones. I still, HMRC, not going to, no offense to anyone that works there or whatever, but it's not why I started a business to get involved in payroll, tax, and all this other stuff. I didn't, but you're learning from it so that you have less pain in the future. So good on you there. And make it supportive for people who are thinking, okay, Andrew, you speak a good game. You have sold it to me well, despite the challenges. What are some of the tools that you have utilized for yourself and your business to get to where you are now?
I think the biggest difference this time is working with other people, not going alone, and really understanding the power of shared perspective and being really open to being wrong. And maybe this comes with age, maybe it doesn't. Maybe some people are a lot better at it, a lot younger, and are natural entrepreneurs and get it straight away. But I think the reality is most people, it takes 2 or 3 goes to really get it. But I know what my strengths are. But I think most importantly, I've come to understand where my weaknesses are. And not all of them, and you're still getting it wrong, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? And there's no perfection in it. It's just a journey, right? And it's constant learning. I had a really interesting conversation with Olivia, who's, you know, I have one employee and she's amazing. And one of the best things we've done in the business is bringing her in and getting her to kind of run all the delivery side. And I came up to her, I've got this idea and this are my thoughts. She goes, Andrew, it's great, but not now. Not now. And I was like, okay. And she said, what we're doing is great. Let's just stay focused. And it's just that moment of, do you know what? You're 100% right. Because my mindset is always, what about this? Let's do this. Go forwards with that. And you forget about keeping the main thing sometimes. And it's just
Mm.
trying to retain that, because I know how my brain works. I'm constantly thinking, oh, we could do this and this might work, and how about this? And to hear someone actually verbalize that, but for her to have the confidence to do it,
Yeah.
um, just reassured that we've got a really cool relationship and a really cool setup in a business, that it doesn't matter who we are, what we're doing, or what our titles are. Our focus is to make the business as good as it can be.
Yeah.
So yeah, working with really good people. My co-founders are amazing what they do. I don't understand how our technology is built, and I'm a technophobe by heart, but we've got an amazing CTO, and having that trust to go, you're an expert at that, you look after that. My bit is to do this bit in the middle, and X, Y, and Z. And I think bringing those people together we all really care, and we all think about things the same way. We're all family people, we have lives that we need to lead outside of this business. Um, for me, that's been the biggest change, I suppose, in
Yeah.
understanding that I don't need to know everything, and I
Yeah.
don't need to solve everything. We'll fix this together. We'll all make mistakes along the way, but as long as that we're trying to drive forwards, we've got a great platform, we've got a great team, then we should keep moving forwards, and it will work.
Oh, that is fantastic to hear. Yeah, it sounds to me like you've got the ingredients for longevity in what you're doing, because shared values come through,
Mm,
but also two of the crucial linchpins of any organization: the culture. You talked about your family values, you talked about wanting to do things well, and then the people are
mm,
are, are in place. With the people that know what they're doing, but then someone like you in there, and hopefully others as well, who are like, I know what I know, and I know where I'm good, but I know I also don't know things, and let's also synthesize our views to make the best
mm.
outcome. Taking a bit of Andrew's, I call it like the Finding Nemo Dory brain, where it's like, oh, that's shiny, let's look at that. Oh no, that's shiny. And then, because you can do anything, you can't do
Yeah.
everything at the same time. So bringing all of that together and having a bit of caution with planning, with technological knowledge, with trust and truth coming through in
Mm, mm.
communication, I think it allows you to navigate as well as you have so far. But fingers
And I
crossed.
think as well, and I'm trying to look at it in terms of what are we trying to solve for our clients? It's to enable them the space to focus on the things they're great at, and take away the stuff that they shouldn't be focused on.
Yeah.
Let's do that bit for them, to give them the space to do it.
Mhm.
We need to do that in our own business as well. I'll
Mhm.
keep focused on this, you keep focused on that, and we'll bring that together, and it'll work. And as long as we do it with transparency and authenticity, those things should keep us moving forwards, and hopefully get to where we want it to go, right?
No, that's amazing. That's amazing. And I think it would be great to talk a bit about the future goals for the business, if they exist, because sometimes it can be organic, like free range
Mhm.
chicken. You peck what you can peck, and you grow as you grow. But have you got goals for the business in terms of anything really?
Yeah, we do. We've set out a clear plan, but it's quite funny, right? You kind of write a business plan. I think we did the last one in November, and by January we're kind of scrapping that and wrapping that up and going. Actually, you're just like that, especially where the market is at the moment. But it's really helped us to define what we have, and
Yeah.
we're in a much better position now to really drive forwards. But we want to take this to many businesses, right? The platform is designed to be really cost effective, to help small businesses to hire better.
Mhm.
So it's built in a way that it can be scalable, but without diluting the impact that it has. And it's not about putting bums on seats and signing as many people up as possible, and away you go, and creaming that profit at the top. It's saying, actually, we need to grow our headcount because we want to keep that human interaction with our clients. And
Mm.
that's going to take more investment and hit our profitability. But for me, the important part is it does what it says it does. It has an impact for our clients. We're seeing companies come on board, and within the first hire, they've paid for the whole annual recruitment within one hire. And it's like, great, amazing, brilliant. You're going to win because you're going to bring in better people, quicker, faster, cheaper. And we're winning because it's proving the concept. And we
Mm.
can refine the product, we can refine the technology, we can automate some things, but we won't dilute that relationship with our clients, and we won't lose that human interaction. Um, the client put some kind words on LinkedIn yesterday, having kicked off a few weeks ago, and that's the stuff we do it for. 'Cause it's like, this works. Like, I believe
Mm.
in it. I can see it. I've
Mhm.
experienced it as a small business owner. I've seen that pain, and and I know that is something this will work for our clients. So it's about taking as many companies as we can, right? We want to start in the UK, and we've got some real ambitions around that. You know, if we're hitting 500 companies in the next 3 years, amazing. I was told that's probably not ambitious enough, but I want to be ambitiously realistic at the same time. I'm not here to kill myself, you know, and I want to keep that balance of life. I've got 3 kids and a wife, and all doing sports and all the things that come with life. This is not to do, you know, the 16, 20 hours a day to kind of drive it. It's got to work. Otherwise, I'll stop loving it and we'll start having those same issues. Doesn't mean we don't work hard, but I think we've got a realistically ambitious target. And I believe that this is a platform that works for small companies. And that's the focus, is to keep making improvements to that, to bring it to more companies.
Yeah, I'm going to need to watch this again myself, because you said so much in there that I will literally just copy and paste and apply to myself, literally, because I'm the same. I don't want to kill myself. I do have a family, 3 kids as well. And I really find that if you aim to be a person that delivers value, then the success will come. And what you're talking about there for me is around making sure that you do not dilute the value that you bring through the proposition you have. And I think without a doubt, keeping that customer-centric focus as you are doing will bring you an army of raving fans that will do the work for you. And yeah, I laugh at many of the things. I think the business plan is one of the funnier ones for me, because I wrote one.
Yeah.
And I look at it now, and it is not, well, it's not what's happening, and it's weird and wonderful things. Last week, had a call from a couple of people, worked with them 6 years ago, thinking about coaching. Another one 9 years ago, thinking about coaching. I didn't email them or send them anything, but somehow, some way, and I'm yet to discover, the timing is right, and they thought of me, and like, okay, well, I'm just gonna put my new business plan as, for me, God did it. The end. Because I'm not sure how it's happening yet. And maybe I don't know, you tell me, maybe I'll get clear on the channels or the ways in which people find me. But I want to be of value, and then the success in whatever form it comes sustainably will be there. So yeah, thank you for that. I'm gonna have to watch it again.
I'd say my belief in it all is, you work hard, you keep focused, you keep pushing forwards. You're probably focusing all this stuff over here, but something will come up over here. But if you're not doing all this stuff over here, this is just isn't going to happen, right? And you know, however that is, whether that's through, you know, faith or whatever your belief system is, that's my belief, is around, you've got to be intentionally working hard towards something and trying to make things better, because that will open doors up. And I think good things then happen. I think it's easy just to try and ride the crest of the wave and try and get lucky, but there's no luck in this, right? You've got to be improving what you're doing. You've got to be better at what you do every single day. And I think that's what creates the opportunities.
100%. That's what they say, isn't it? Like, luck is when preparation meets opportunity. And I see this and hopefully you feel the same. When we did sport, rugby, for me now it's cycling, occasionally I'll race. When I turn up to a race and I haven't done the boring stuff in the run-up, I will get my beep handed to me, similar to rugby. You know, it hurts. So you've got to do the strength and conditioning, you've got to go for the runs, you've got to do the training matches, you've got to do all that stuff. Which one of those gets you to be the ultimate Andrew when you step out onto the field, or when you used to? Who knows? But it's almost like, once you mix the ingredients in the cake, you can't say, then I'm going to take the egg out of it and it's still going to be a cake. You can't get it out. It's in there, and it's a cake, right? So yeah, I don't know. I keep seeing these interconnectivities with stuff. I feel like it's there's some natural laws or something that go on with success generally, you know?
Yeah, it's hard work. There's no getting around it. It's no magic one. Nothing. Social media tries to tell us otherwise constantly, and feeds these success stories and, you know, quick wins. But I've not seen one that's worked. You know, and I've dived into a few and attempted. Oh, that's interesting. Let's see what that's about. And you're looking at it and go, you just got to work hard. You know, and you got to get better, and you got to keep pushing. And don't try and cut the corners around it, because you know you'll come a cropper eventually, right?
Yeah, 100%. The same with trying to progress in a company too fast, right? I think Instagram has everyone believing like you know, get rich quick, or you have that couple goals where they're looking lovingly into each other's eyes in the Maldives or wherever, and you
Yeah.
two are doing this at 24. But the truth is that you've only seen a fraction of their life. So if you take the perspective that there's more to it than you see, that's one thing. But I often say this to clients, like, we have this constant battle between wanting the path of least resistance, but knowing deep down that nothing that we've ever gained of value ever came to us easily. And every time I say that, they're like, I'm not sure that's true. And then we go through it. If you're in a relationship, if you run a business, if you want to progress at work, if you want to maintain friendships, you know, it all takes a degree of effort, you know, and it's for you to decide how you move your life forward. So yeah, thank you for that. Thank you so much. And as we keep the conversation flowing, leadership, you've led in so many different ways, from being a lifeguard to the leisure center to rugby to the business that you've been leading. So it's not a trick question. I just want to know what you know about leadership for you that I could take away self and others could hear from. So what are some of the lessons in leadership that you've picked up along your travels, Andrew?
Yeah, gosh, probably one of the things you look back on is kind of times I was a terrible leader, and I think the reflection is you just don't know what you don't know, right? And I never had any leadership coaching. I never had any training. It just, you know, oh, you seem to be a bit more sensible or organized or whatever, or, you know, you turn up on time. Like, so you take that leadership job and you go, okay, well, that's a bit more money. So yeah, of course I'm going to do it. And that's the organic thing, right? And you see it time and time again in business. The people who are best at their jobs just get pushed into leadership roles, which invariably is a really poor decision a lot of the time, because suddenly they're not delivering and they're just boring about managing people. So leadership's a really complex space in my eyes. And I think maybe one of the reasons that I found that I've stepped into leadership roles, and maybe again, this is kind of self-deprecating, is because maybe I've never been the A player. You know, I know through when I look at rugby, and I always lean on sport because I think it's really polarized when it comes to things like leadership in a combative space on a rugby pitch. I've never been the best player on the pitch, and I'm comfortable with that. But I coach now, and I'm never worried about the best people on the pitch. I look for the ones that they do the donkey work. They're the ones from ruck to ruck, from, you know, doing all the tackling. They're the ones patting their teammates on the back to encourage them along. For me, that's what leadership is. I don't think you need to be the star player. And I don't think you should be the star player. I think you should now look for who are those star players around you and get the best out of them. And then find the ones that have got the real opportunities and what can you do to make them better. And I think for me, that's the really important part for leadership is, have you made those around you better at what they do? Have you made their journeys better? If you've done that, I think you're in a pretty good place. If you're deviating from that and you've got your own ambitions at the center of leadership, that for me is a really poor leader. You know, so I don't really have a magic wand solution. I don't really have a playbook on it. I just think that as I've spent more time in leadership roles, whether that's organically or through promotions or whatever that is, it's just, are the people around me doing better than they were before? And if they are, great.
Oh man, can we bottle that and just put it in a book, just like a few pages, just your A to Z of leadership? Because it's yeah, yeah. I'm actually doing the reflecting life, so probably not the time for it, but it really resonates. And I think something that I came across recently was that 77% of managers / leaders, I know they're interchangeable and can be different, never wanted to be in that seat. And just as you described, through demonstrating some desirable value to the organization, were promoted, whether it's tenure or technical ability, usually a combination. But then you can understand why problems exist within organizations, because there's a conflict there between what the individual came to do at the company and what they're being asked to do. And I find that it's some will want to bridge that gap because they see that actually, you know what, being an SME is not the be all and end all. there is more to be gained from life in supporting others in growing and developing, and others kicking and screaming go and create havoc in organizations and make people's lives miserable because they never wanted to do it, but they've taken the money, and so now they've got to do it, and it's actually done with love, but actually with real, sometimes openly overt resentment for the fact they've got to take care of other people. And do you want to do a performance review on a Monday morning, or year-end appraisal or whatever? Probably not. You'd rather be out there doing the thing that you're passionate about. So yeah, something to be solved. I think you're the man to do it, though, because what you've said there is really powerful. I'm thinking now a bit more about what you said, but building that out into the legacy for you. Like when all is said and done, and if you're lucky, you close your eyes for the last time, and you get to play back your life as it has been, rich with family and all the glorious stuff that you're doing. What do you love your legacy to be?
Gosh, that's a big question. Legacy. It's an interesting one, and I keep leaning into, call it imposter syndrome, call it the feeling like things have happened around you, or not wanting to be the A player, or not being, this kind of like, I don't want the limelight on me. I'm quite happy with that. I'm quite happy that everything else is going really well, and I'm just behind the scenes. And it's nice, you like to be recognized and say thanks, but I also find it quite uncomfortable.
I hear you.
At the same time, that kind of, this is going really well, it's great, but this is the team doing it. I'm just kind of in the middle doing bits and pieces. So celebrate them. Don't come my way, sort of thing. So I suppose, what is my legacy? It's like, have I spent most of my time not being a dick? Tick. That's a good start, right? Like, let's get the basics right. Just generally don't be a dick most of the time, not all the time. Have I had really good experiences in my life? Have I given life a go? Have I gone, do you know what? Let's take the opportunity. And I think that's what I say to my kids a lot is just give it a go. Why not? Why not? Like, don't worry about it. Do what you want to do. Have a go. Why not? If it's not what anyone else is doing, don't worry about it. Like, look at things differently. Like, try your path. If it's not education, don't worry about it. Like, if you want to go and do what you want to do, just do it. And I'm hoping that through mine and my wife's experiences together, we can just guide them, help them meander their own paths and find their own route. And I think them being good people, and what it's like when you get your kids, they drive you mad at home, right? They drive you potty. And then you just hear from, kids are brilliant, love them, brilliant people, it's just great around the class. We love them, they're really polite. And you go, yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's what legacy should be. It's like, have you made an imprint on that next person, that next generation? And that for me will be good enough. That's really successful.
Beautiful. I couldn't agree with you more. Having the 3 minis, I think that for me, when the lights go out, it would be, I've left the world in a better place with ×3, mini, but now bigger people, God willing, who can go out there and create their own version of heaven on earth in the interactions that they have with people, through being loved and nurtured in a way that allows them to dream whatever dreams they've got, and live without the interference of, well, you can't do that, you can't do this, and you can't do that. Like, why not? Like, to your point. Thank you so much. And when times are good, times are hard, whatever it may be for you, do you have like a motto that is like your, like the RAF will have, like, I don't know what it is, but I shouldn't have said it, but the RAF, just like, or company will have a slogan. Like, what would your slogan be? Let's talk in marketing terminology for life.
What would my slogan be? Just get up and get on. Do something, because it will make you move forwards. Just do something. Like, it might be different, it might not be what you thought it was going to be, it might not be what you want to do, but keep doing something, because things then happen. If you just stop and dwell on the what ifs and worry about the uncontrollables, you're not helping yourself. And I've seen that firsthand in mental health in the family, and seen that desire to lean into the negative. And you kind of go, this isn't working, this is really frustrating. It's like, but just do something, move forwards, keep trying, keep pushing, and it will get better and it will improve, and you believe in that, and it won't be a linear journey and things will get worse before they get better, and sort of things. But keep doing something and it will get better and you'll improve and you'll learn something, and then eventually it will start to click, and just go for that run or do whatever it is you need to do to feel better, be more positive, and then keep moving forward. So I think, again, there's no magic wand around it. It's just get out of bed, get going, and move forwards. And I think then you'll find you'll be heading in the right direction.
Oh, that is brilliant. That is really brilliant. I'm going to take that forward myself. The last question I've got for you really is around, if you could go back in time, talk to a younger Andrew, knowing a bit of what you know now, what would you do differently, or perhaps say to yourself then?
Yeah. Someone once said to me, when I started to do okay and not by any stretch, have a grand life, but you buy your first house and you start to drive a car and the family comes together and all these simple things. And sometimes, God, you're really lucky. And I kind of thought, yes, I am. And I look back and go, I wasn't lucky. I wasn't lucky. I worked hard and I went on my journey because it was perceived that my journey was, I just meandered around and flip-flop between different things. And I go, no, do you know what? There was a path and I did work hard, and it's going, I wasn't lucky, and if you believe in luck, you make your own luck. And I think that's what happened. And I'm like, do you know what? Don't worry about it. Don't listen to the outside influence. Just keep doing what you're doing and things will be all right. And they might not go straight forwards and there'll be some lows along the way, but it'll be all right.
Yeah. Oh man. I think mission accomplished. I started this out wanting to inspire others, for them to know a bit about what you're doing, the amazing thing that is Blnker. And I'm not saying it because I'm on any commission. We haven't talked about it.
We'll sign after, right?
No, full disclosure, I'm not. I've just been privileged to sort of see the fruits of your imagination come to life. And I think you've, in a really relatable but practical way, like, help people know that it is okay not to have it all figured out. Like, you do not need to do that, but your motto around just get up and get doing things is the best way, like through experience rather than pontificating and doing analysis paralysis of like, well, if I go here, I go, well, you won't know what's going to work through thinking about it. You've got to give it a go. And then I suppose come back to something you talked about, those shower moments or dog walk moments where the subconscious can percolate down a bit like a coffee. And then you start to get a sense of, okay, actually, I like this, so I'm going to do more of that. And then before you know it, boom, co-founder, CEO of Blnker, doing the things, my aerodynamic brother. I love it. I love it for you and the community and the family as well. I think they're blessed to have, a dad that is open and willing to be vulnerable and learn. And your kids, no doubt, are going to go on to do amazing things. I can't wait. And Blnker is going to do it. It's there. It's going to do amazing things. I cannot wait.
So.
Yeah. Follow your journey with more interest. But anything for you? Any final words? Because I can't believe we've killed like a good hour, and there's so much more we could talk about. But anything for you?
No, just to say thank you, and just our conversations and picking up a kind of professional relationship after a gap of a decade is, it's great, and it's I think it shows the real value of relationships and keeping those connections, because you never quite know when it's going to come back around, right? So yeah, have those conversations and be open to it, and thank you.
Yeah, who knew that two aspiring rugby men would become what we are now with those years down the line, with 3 kids? Like, who does this? Who does this?
We both had long hair there a while ago, right?
Yeah, maybe there's a correlation. 3 children, no hair. This is not by choice. It's mandated now, because otherwise I look like Dong Ting in the wind tunnel, right? But
I have a picture, right?
Thank you so much. Relationships is the one, and yeah, look, I look forward to us. Now we are, back reconnecting, continuing that journey and safe space of, how do we make this thing work and be the best that it can be? So keep going, and thank you again.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Speak soon, my man.
Cheers, Kofi. Bye.
Yeah, bye-bye.